Thank you, and welcome to our Thoughtsmanship podcast. I'm your host, Laura Evans, and each week we are bringing to you an exciting interview of someone who represents Dr. Shaklee's philosophy of living in harmony with nature and also caring about other people and being generous with what you give to other people. I have the distinct pleasure today of interviewing got to be one of my top 10 favorite people in the world, someone that has made a huge impact on my life. And in fact, if it was not for this person, I could truly say I would not be doing what I'm doing today with Shaklee and having the success and team that we've got in building with Shaklee. Let me tell you a little bit about Roger Barnett. Roger Barnett is the chairman and CEO of Shaklee Corporation. He's leading Shaklee Corporation as a visionary leader for, Roger, I believe it's been almost maybe 15 years now, approaching 15 years. And for those of you that don't know, Shaklee Corporation was founded in 1956, and we are the premier natural nutrition and green cleaning products company in the United States, with more than 1 million members and distributors in the U.S., Japan, Mexico, Malaysia, Canada, Taiwan, and China. We've got so much we want to get into with Roger, and I just want to first give a little bit of his background to you. Roger is not your typical person owning the kind of company that we're in, the industry that we're in. He's very well educated, very strong business background, graduated from Yale College, law degree from Yale Law School, MBA from Harvard Business School, selected as a global leader for tomorrow by the World Economic Forum in Davos, and a Young Leader Fellow of the National Committee for U.S.-China Relations, serves on many different boards and involved with many different charities and causes, and just all around great guy. Has a tremendous amount of business experience, being involved in turning around companies such as Arcade, a sampling company, to even starting his own company, one of the first internet retailers in the cosmetic industry, which was beauty.com. And we're going to talk about what led him to Shaklee. So let's get right into that. Roger, thank you so much for taking time to join us on today's call.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you for hosting this. And I just want to say your own story is really remarkable. You're the first person I've ever heard of in the direct selling industry to have been the president of our U.S. and Canadian business and then leaving the corporate side to become a distributor. And not only that, but becoming one of our top distributors in the world for Shaklee. So it's been so fantastic to work with you as a corporate colleague. And it's also been even more amazing to watch you thrive and succeed by helping other people achieve their health and income goals as one of our leading members of our Shaklee family. So congratulations on your success on both sides of the aisle. It's really remarkable.
Thank you. Well, that says a lot about the company that you've created the culture of and you've continued on Dr. Shaklee's philosophy with. It says a lot about what this company is about. And let's dig into, in your background, what type of things, as a business person, what type of things do you look for in a business?
Well, I think the most important part in the beginning is for a business to be in an industry that has long-term growth prospects. It's very hard, actually, to find something that's not just hot today and gone tomorrow. And in a business where you won't get replaced by some kind of new technological innovation that can disrupt your entire business. So when I was looking for what my next business would be, I took a long time to sort of look at where and what businesses we could predict would grow not just this year and next year, but for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years in the future. And when you look at that, you've sort of got to look at large demographic trends. And we focused on health and wellness because there are literally billions of people in the world that are shifting their mindset from basic survival to thriving life. And as people get older, what they appreciate more in life is the quality of life. and people want to stay youthful, they want to have energy, they want to have vitality, they want to be able to do all the things that they want to do to have a thriving life. And that led me to the health and wellness business because it is a business which is just going to continue to grow for decades to come. And so once you find an industry that allows you to grow, because it's very, very hard to grow if your industry is shrinking. This way you just can grow with the market. You want to find a company that has established some kind of leadership position in that industry. And ideally, if you could find a business where it's at the perfect intersection of having a strong history, but really a much bigger future, because the history allows you to have a platform on which you grow, and fundamentally you want something that's got a proven record of trust with consumers, because that's the foundation for every business in the world. If you cannot create a product or service that a consumer can trust, then there's no real fundamental business. And having that history and foundation is an amazing place to build, but then look around the world and say, hey, this is an opportunity that we can take this platform and expand into different product categories, expand into different ways of presenting it, engage people, share with innovation, and continue to create excitement in the future. So I think being in a growth industry, finding a company that has a leadership position of trust in it, that has a platform that gives you the opportunity to grow, is a great way to look for a business.
Wow, I love that, Roger. That is powerful, yes. So tell me, how did you hear about Shaklee? And I know that you really did do quite a bit of research and due diligence in that process. Tell us about that.
Well, once I decided I wanted to be in the health and wellness business, you sort of break it down into the two different kinds of sides of that. There's the side that sort of waits till you're unhealthy and helps you become healthy, right, and tries to cure you after you're sick, and that's the pharmaceutical side of the industry. And then there's another side, which is the prevention side, which tries to keep you healthy so you don't get sick. And there are many companies that are very good companies that work in the pharmaceutical area, but I was more naturally drawn to the prevention side because, one, I feel it's a much bigger market, but two, it's just a wonderful way to live, to help people, I think, be in a business where you can help people stay healthy. And I just found that was just more positive for me emotionally, mentally, to channel my time and energy into that. So as you look in the prevention side of the health and wellness business, I sort of go and say, well, which are the companies that have leadership positions in it? Because, again, I wanted to find a company that had a leadership position of consumer trust in that field. And it didn't take that much research to find Shaklee, because Dr. Shaklee essentially pioneered the nutrition industry when he invented the very first multivitamin in the United States a little over 100 years ago. And as I studied more of the history of Shaklee and realized that not only did Dr. Shaklee invent the first multivitamin in the United States, but Shaklee invented the first plant-based protein supplement made with soy lecithin, and then pioneered the sports nutrition industry by creating protein as a way to rebuild your muscles after you work out, and so many other things. And I was like, this is an amazing business. And I had always heard of Shaklee, but I hadn't heard of it recently. And so the next thing was trying to verify whether or not Shaklee today was the kind of company that I had heard of. And so I started to do a little bit more work on Shaklee, and I realized with the quality of reputation and the quality of products, everybody I talked to about Shaklee said, yes, Shaklee made great quality products, and always stood for that. And I thought, well, that's a terrific platform of consumer trust. So I tried to then reach out to see if I could buy the company.
And I understand there's a story about that, Roger. What happened? I heard that you were interested and something transpired. What happened?
Well, just to put in the context, I had spent, at this point in time, 4 years looking at hundreds of different companies in many, many different industries to try to identify one that I wanted to devote my time, my energy, and my career to. And there was one other criteria in a company which I didn't mention before, is that in addition to being a great business, I really wanted the business to be involved in something that was doing good for people. I didn't want to have a business that just made money. I wanted to make a business that made an impact. And that's just an additional layer that's so challenging to find in a business. And, for example, for many, many years, tobacco companies were a great business, made a lot of money, but I could never devote my time and career to something that was proven to be harmful to people. So I was searching for a business that was not only good, but also did good at the same time. So 4 years into the search, I started when I was 35 years old, and it's a challenging time when you're at that age to have the discipline to not jump into something. And I've spent my whole career sort of engaged in work of some kind or another, and I took ultimately what took 5 years just looking and looking and looking and saying no to make sure that I found the exact right opportunity. So 4 years in, I discover Shaklee. I go through my analysis of industries. Health and wellness is the growth business. Shaklee is the leading, historical platform on it that we could build an amazing, innovative future in the health and wellness space. And I'm just so excited because my search is over. Or at least I thought my search was over because I finally found the right company. So it was owned at the time by a Japanese pharmaceutical company, which interestingly applied pharmaceutical quality standards to natural nutrition products, which was just a fantastic combination. And I reached out to try to buy Shaklee, and conversation was something like, hi, my name is Roger Barnett. I've been looking for a long time to find the right business, and I discovered Shaklee, and it's perfect, and I'd like to buy it. And they said, well, thank you very much for your interest, but Shaklee is not for sale. And frankly, I wasn't expecting that. I devoted and was so focused at the time of just finding the right thing, it never really occurred to me that when I found it, it may not be available. So I had to actually regroup a little bit, and then I tried to just be a little more casual about it, and I called them up and I said, well, listen, I'm going to be in Japan, in a couple of weeks, and I'd love just to stop by and visit and see if we could get to know each other. And they're like, well, we're delighted you're coming to our country, but we have no interest in selling the company. And that then was the moment where it sort of sunk in, or beginning to sink in, that what I've been working for, where I was so focused on, and that goal, which was right in front of me, started to slip away. And it was a moment of sort of, I think the critical moment, maybe in my business career, of what do you do, right? Do you give up? Do you sort of stop looking for businesses? Do you kind of crawl under a rock, or what do you do? Well, you can't just stop. So I kept going, and I kept looking for other businesses because I knew I wanted a business, and I kept looking at other companies in the health and wellness space, but none of them matched up. They didn't have the legacy. They didn't have that dedication to quality. They were maybe good marketers of what the product was, but they didn't have the substance behind it. And I just was not comfortable. And I came close once or twice, and at the end of the day, I walked away because I'm like, I'm just not going to be in a position where I'll be able to stand up and represent with true authenticity what that company is. But I kept telling people that I found my one true love, Shaklee, and it just so happens that about a year after my initial conversation, Shaklee, the company that owned it, merged with another Japanese pharmaceutical company, and as part of their custom, they were willing to sell the business because it was not related to their pharmaceutical business. And I got a phone call from a friend, and he said, Roger, I know you've been talking about Shaklee for a long time, and I just heard that this merger is going to happen. I think Shaklee will now become available for sale. And that just energized me. I never gave up the hope about it, but it did force me into other courses of action. But at the end of the day, my journey sort of just reinforced my belief that Shaklee was the best company because I looked at these others and they paled in comparison. So the minute I heard it was available for sale, I called them up, and all the other people who were interested in buying the company were doing all these due diligence, and they were making these offers that were conditional upon more due diligence because they didn't want to spend the money to investigate everything if they didn't have a deal. And I just plowed forward, and I gave a fully binding, no-out contract and did it faster than everyone else because I already wanted to buy it a year earlier, and I was very, very fortunate to be able to buy the company. A great opportunity.
It certainly was, and we are so glad that you didn't settle. We're so glad that you didn't settle for less. I mean, once you found a company that met that criteria, and I talk about that a lot in what people are looking for, is having a checklist of criteria of what you're looking for, what standards are you looking for. And we're so glad that, in fact, I sort of recall hearing of you and interacting with you before you were officially the owner, but you were already preparing for bringing in your management team. And that always was such a visionary statement to me about how certain you were that this is where I'm headed and this is where we're going, and so I need to prepare for it. I need to prepare for it as if it's going to happen, because it will happen.
I did not only did I start to recruit the management, but before I bought the company, I flew all the top leaders together to meet with them, and I had to promise the owners of the company that I would pay for it regardless of whether I bought the company or not, to go talk about our future, because you got to do it now. Right? Don't waste the time. Get together now. And the people, at the end of the day, in our business, you can look at a balance sheet, an income statement, and a cash flow, which are the financial figures. But that's not the assets of the business. The assets of the business are the remarkable people. And the way I describe Shaklee people is I looked at maybe 60 or 70 direct selling companies during my journey. And there's some fine companies out there. I don't want to say anything negative about the company. But the one company where the people consistently have a certain standard of integrity to it, the way that I describe it is that there is not a single Shaklee distributor that I have met that I wouldn't be proud to have them have dinner with my family and my children, and for my children to look at them and learn from them as honorable role models of humans. And that's not so usual in any kind of business, and I just feel that that's a wonderful part of our Shaklee family.
It really is. It's a community and a culture that really fostered from, what Dr. Shaklee taught. And that's been passed down from generation to generation, and one of the reasons why this podcast is of such value. I want to go back and touch on for a second, as a business person, I know that among some people that maybe are not business-minded, this industry or method of doing business may get a bad rap. And it may have been a bad apple that caused that to happen. But you had no reservation or hesitancy about looking in the industry that we're in. Can you just speak to that a little bit from your point of view as a successful business person? Why did you say, this is a valid, credible way of doing business?
Well, I am in love with the distribution model, which I call direct selling, for many reasons. I just gave a talk about this. I think it's the most noble of professions. The reason why I call it noble is because at the end of the day, the business, by selling through people and by training and educating people and by creating incentives and rewards, not just to value your own efforts, but to reward you for helping mentor and coach and teach somebody else to achieve their own business goals and dreams, is so unique in the world. And it is what really sealed the deal for me about really wanting to buy Shaklee. And I'll back up for a second because it's a longer story. I was raised by two wonderful parents who modeled different behaviors. My father modeled business success, and my mother has spent the last 53 years of her career in public interest law, helping the poorest families in the United States get equal access to the justice system. and she spent her life on impact. And I always wanted to combine business success with impact on people. This was also fundamentally a dream that I almost gave up on because I didn't know if it was possible. Because I thought at the end of the day that you would make money in business and then you'd use the proceeds and the profits you make to give away in philanthropy, and you can make an impact. And there's many wonderful role models of people who do that today. But I was really looking for a business. And when I saw Shaklee, the very first business I saw where the very money-making essence of the business was in and of itself a public good. And the reason is that through our Shaklee health products, we help people live a healthier life. But through the distribution model, which is through people, through this direct selling model, we allow individuals to become micro-entrepreneurs, to be able to not only get the health benefits, but get financial income benefits, which help them live a better life. And whether it's $500 a month, $1,000 a month, or generations of families who've earned six figures for 4 or 5 generations. It's income in our life and society is a requirement, and small, medium, and meaningful amounts all make a difference. And the goal is to help give people a business that they can own. And that is the channel. So not only do you get the benefit of this person-to-person consultation between a Shaklee family member and a customer, which is great because in the field of, say, health and wellness and nutrition, you walk into a store and you're overwhelmed by all these different products. You don't know what's in it. You don't know what it's for. You don't know the benefit of it. And if you buy online, you never know where the company's from, et cetera. Here you have somebody who you trust guiding, coaching, advising, mentoring you about and supporting you in your health and wellness transformation. But then you also have people coaching and mentoring you in creating your own business. And one of the proudest moments, I think, for me is watching people who were very shy maybe in the beginning and developed confidence and grew as people and then started to be able to coach and help other people. And one thing you learn in life if you are successful is that your first goal often is to get a certain measure of success financially for yourself. And then you realize that the greatest satisfaction in life is actually helping other people become successful. So our business model, and Dr. Shaklee pioneered this, rewards you not just for your efforts. It rewards you for helping coach and mentor other people to build their own business. And I think that's just a beautiful idea. And I think creating the incentives to encourage people to help other people creates this community of people who cheer for everybody else's success. It's not my success is at your loss. It's not a zero-sum game, and that's so rare in the field of commercial business. So both as a channel to go direct to the consumer and give them information and support and encouragement, and as a business model to help people and reward people for helping coach and mentor others, it's a brilliant idea, and that's the reason why I wanted to buy Shaklee. It was more than just the product. It was a holistic way to help people live a healthier and better life.
Yes. Very, very well said. Thank you for sharing that. So, coming into buying Shaklee, actually, getting past the presentation and being in the business and working it day in and day out, tell me a little bit about, I've heard you talk about that unlike other experiences that folks have in buying a business, acquiring a business, where you might be surprised by something that you didn't realize was there and it's not really wanted, you found these jewels hidden in Shaklee. Will you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. It was really quite remarkable because almost every time you buy a business, you discover the things that the seller didn't tell you about that were the problems. And I really remember my first month I spent, or 6 weeks in Shaklee, I took over a conference room and I just started reading all the materials that the company and speaking to the different employees. It was incredible. So the things I didn't know, and by the way, I spent millions of dollars on due diligence and research, and I had accountants and scientists look at this. The company didn't market some of the things it did just because it was the right thing to do. So I'll give you an example. It's the beginning of the green movement. People are starting to care about this. And I look back on some materials, and Shaklee was the very first company in the entire world to be certified to offset its carbon emissions so as to leave no footprint on the planet. And it just did it because the company was founded on Dr. Shaklee's philosophy of living in harmony with nature. And every 10 years or so, we sort of say, well, what does that mean in today's world? So it started by sourcing only the finest materials from nature and then making sure it's pure. And then it graduated into the cleaning products, which was not only helpful for human health, but also helped avoid a runoff into water streams and pollutions. And that's why those products were used on Jacques Cousteau's explorations and why it is the first official Earth Day product. We were the first company in the world, even though it was a small product line for us, first company in the world to take phosphates out of laundry detergent and dishwashing detergent because it's environmentally bad. And then the company said in around 2000, said, well, what are we going to do for this decade? And I said, well, since we take from nature to make these great natural products, we should give back an equal part to make sure that we leave no footprint on the earth. That was remarkable. I mean, what the company did, it had to help create a certifying agency to be carbon neutral because it didn't exist. It created its own offsets. It went to cities and transferred people from diesel buses to gas buses and wind turbine projects and eventually projects in Africa to help bring solar power and didn't even talk about it. And I just discovered that after buying the company. That was amazing. And then I had seen quite an amazing immune product before buying Shaklee when I was looking at another company, and I took the product and I gave it to our scientist here in my first week, and I said, hey, will you do me a favor, take a look at this immune product and tell me what you think. And they took them about a week or so, and I got a 10-page report said basically that the immune product was a really good product, but we had a product in our portfolio that was substantially better. It had all these clinical studies to it. It was developed over 40 years by the scientist that was the co-discoverer of interferon, which is something in your body which is critical for your immune function and used in pharmaceutical companies all the time. He spent 40 years trying to create a natural product to stimulate your body's interferon. And it was patented, and Shaklee had the rights to it, and it was called Immune Building Complex, just a simple name. I'm like, oh my gosh, this product is amazing. And we took the product, we rebranded it, and we called it Nutriferon, and just told the story. And we got the co-discoverer interferon to be on our Shaklee Scientific Advisory Board, and his story of how he went through plant compound after plant compound after plant compound to try to find the right combination to have this incredible benefit for supporting your healthy immune function is remarkable. And so whether it's a corporate sustainability issue or products like that, I just kept discovering these gems. In fact, I didn't fully realize the extent of the commitment with the NASA space program. And I subsequently learned a lot about this, Laura, because I became very friendly with Commander Mark Kelly and Scott Kelly, his identical twin brother, who were both, I think, the only two siblings to go into space together. And the key moment in the space is not when you take off, because when you take off, you just sit there, I think, and pray that nothing bad happens. You're sitting on this whole rocket fuel, and 99.6% of all the fuel is consumed in the first 8 minutes and 32 seconds of flight. Wow. And that last 0.4% is designed to sort of direct you and steer you so you can go back and re-enter into orbit. And if you get that angle wrong, you bounce out and you can't come back. So it's the critical moment, and it's the most dehydrating experience that a human will go through is the reentry of orbit. And so NASA came to Shaklee, and again, I didn't know this until after buying the company, and said, please, this is the critical moment, formulate for us a rehydration drink for our astronauts, and it was called AstroAid. And again, there's just stories and stories of things that we've done for so many years.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, along that line, I know that you commissioned really a legal team or a research team to quantify the amount of testing that Shaklee goes through to really be sure the utmost highest quality of products is produced. Will you speak about that?
Sure. I want to give credit where credit is due. So we have somebody who's been with Shaklee now for 40-plus years who actually has invented many of the quality tests that we use because there wasn't anything on the market, and we want to keep obsessing over the purity and quality. So I heard the numbers of quality tests that we do a year and on some of our products. So on our Life Plan, just these two products, our Life Strip and our Life Shake, we do 70-something thousand quality tests. And I said, this can't be true. No company would spend that kind of time and money and effort when the regulatory requirements are so few in terms of what you're required to test for, to do that many quantity tests. So I went to our general counsel and I said, I really want you to count them all and verify that we are truly doing as many tests as we want. And they ended up doing that. It took them quite a while. And our scientists came back and they were, had bags under their eyes because they were exhausted from doing all the counting. And it turned out that we actually did more than what we said we were doing. So we increased the number in our marketing materials. But it's that obsession with purity that goes beyond any regulatory standard in the world. And that is why we have such loyalty among our Shaklee customers. And that's why, in part, why we think our Shaklee products have a difference, which has been proven over time.
Yeah, in so many ways, I've come to realize, too, at Shaklee that we really create a bar and a standard. And some of those practices that we've been doing for decades are what creates some of the very limited few requirements that are out there. No surprise with that kind of commitment to quality, which Dr. Shaklee always said, quality is number one. It's that rigid commitment to quality that delivers the performance of the products that we experience and keeps customers coming back month after month after month. And that's awesome.
Well, I'm actually in my office, and I'm looking at, I had commissioned by an artist these kind of Andy Warhol-like paintings of some of our early Shaklee products. And on the label, it said Shaklee, the name that is the stamp of quality. And that was the foundational principle of the company.
Yes, exactly. So I remember when I was there at Shaklee, you and the science team got together, and out of this discussion came the landmark study. What is that, and why did you do it?
So the landmark study remains one of the most unique studies ever conducted on the long-term usage of supplements. The way it came back is that we were celebrating our 50th anniversary, and I was brainstorming with our scientists and saying, how could we really demonstrate the individual clinical studies? I mean, we have more than 100 patents and patent pending and more than 100 published clinical studies proving the efficacy of our products, but those are on individual products. What about the holistic benefit? What could we clinically prove with respect to the benefits of people who took Shaklee products? And short, medium, and long term. How can we improve the safety but also the improved health? So they said, well, why don't we compare? We'll work with the University of California, Berkeley School of Public Health, one of the leading public health institutions in the country. And the researcher there is really interested in studying the effect of long-term supplement usage. We could compare people who took a combination of Shaklee products with somebody who didn't take any supplements at all. And we could show that the Shaklee population would have better health. And I said, okay, this sounds like a great project. Let's greenlight this project. And then the scientists said, Roger, we want to do something even more. I'm like, what? They said, we don't want to just compare people who took Shaklee supplements with people who took no supplements. We want to compare people who took Shaklee supplements with somebody who took somebody else's multivitamin. And I said, okay. And they said, by the way, the only way that the Berkeley School of Public Health will do this study is if we have no right to control the study and we have no right to control whether or not the study gets published, meaning that whatever the results are, good or bad, they're going to get published. So I looked at our scientists and I said, okay, it's one thing to compare ourselves against people who took no supplements. It's another thing to compare ourselves with people who took another supplement. These studies results are going to be published no matter what the results. How confident are you that our Shaklee population will come out significantly better than the other population who took other products? And they said, we've been working here for decades. We created these products. We believe in them. We think they're superior. And I'm like, okay, go for it. It turned out to be a very smart decision because we got this landmark study which showed that the Shaklee supplement users were radically healthier in almost every indication of health: heart health, brain health, biostress markers, self-perceived health. It's really remarkable, and our chair of our scientific advisory board, the winner of the Nobel Prize in Medicine, has commented in writing about how much healthier the Shaklee population is. So it was a great thing, but again, we gave up full control of whatever happened to it. So it's a completely independent study. We did that study again, and we followed the people for the next 10 years, and we added people who took Shaklee supplements between 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20, 30, 40, and 50 years. And across the board, the population was radically healthier. And so we're the only company in the world that has the evidence over the long term that if you take a combination of our products, you will be healthier than people who took somebody else's product. And ultimately, as a proof point, it is the most powerful study that I know of its kind, and it's called the Shaklee Landmark Study. And I'm very proud of our scientists. I'm very grateful for all the Shaklee family members who participate in that study, because their story of how they're living healthier and better lives needs to be told and shared with more people.
Wow. Yes, it is powerful. It is powerful. And, it just, exudes the confidence that the team had in knowing the diligence of the research and the work that they do to be sure that our products perform like that. And that's awesome. So, hey, Roger, as we wrap up here, do you think that Dr. Shaklee knew or had a feeling for the impact and the power that his research and his leadership would have?
I think Dr. Shaklee practiced what he preached. And what I mean by that is that he has this concept of thoughtsmanship, which when I first came across it, it took me a little bit of time to understand it. And then I realized that I was actually practicing that my whole life as well. And it's the idea that what you think about will come about, meaning that if you dream about it, you think about it, you set a goal, and you keep working at it, then you'll achieve it. And I know very few people who've managed to achieve success without practicing a form of this idea of thoughtsmanship. And Dr. Shaklee had a very strong philosophical principle that nature held a lot of the secrets to human health. And if we could harness it and channel it and apply science to it, that we could help our bodies be their healthiest. And so because he had that, and he spent a lot of time and energy creating these formulas that were pioneering in its day, and the Shaklee scientists have carried that mantle of innovation for 100 years, I think he would know and expect their impact of what he could do. But he always said, I'll make the products, but the products don't get up and talk to people. That's what people do. And by creating the distribution model, is like you have to go see the people and share with them the benefits of these products. So I think Dr. Shaklee thought big, and there are millions of people around the world who've lived a healthier life thanks to his ideas and his practice. And I think all of us have an obligation to continue to share the story and the message of prevention, holistic health and wellness with other people, and educate them about the steps they can take to live a healthier and better life and carry on the legacy of Dr. Shaklee to impact even more people.
Well, and that leads me to the future. What do you see for the future of Shaklee, and what motivates you? What are you excited about? What are you working towards?
Well, I am super jazzed right now because every year around this time of year we sort of get ready to launch new things. And I just think the whole concept of health and wellness, which is just resonating with people all over the world from all different demographics, and it spans in age from 20-year-olds up to 100-year-olds. It's a hot category, and I just feel so grateful that we're so well positioned with our portfolio of 300 products to go across the whole holistic healthy lifestyle. What I'm excited about is two things. One, we keep making product innovations, but I feel with our channel and with our people, we have the opportunity to provide personal health recommendations and effectively personalized health plans for people so that we can get the right products to the right person at the right time, and then provide that human encouragement and support to help people get the strength to make these habits healthy habits. And they'll just feel better about themselves in every way and be a better husband, a better wife, a better mother, father, a better partner, and a more engaged human if you feel physically alive and thriving. And we have the opportunity to share that. So sharing and giving our Shaklee family members better tools and these products and our whole new way of describing our nutrition products and some of our tools to help sit down and get people on their personalized health journey. And the second component to that is that we're in an age where the penetration of smartphones is about 80% in the United States and growing around the world, which means that everyone is carrying around with them something that can provide fantastic information and support. And what we want to do is use technology to empower humans. I feel very, very, very committed to this idea because in today's world, so many companies are using technology to replace humans, and I feel a tremendous commitment and obligation to provide a way for people to earn income at scale, meaning millions of people, and to use technology to help them be better, to be a better coach, to be a better follow-up, better service, to have more information at their fingertips. And so we're launching some amazing things that you'll be able to use your phone to help you get more customers and coach more people to build a business in a simple, easy, compelling way. So those are ways to enable the tens of millions of people out there who are looking for part-time, flexible earnings opportunities and the billions of consumers who are looking to live healthier longer. And the combination of those two is just an incredibly exciting opportunity, and it's just so rewarding when people see that, take advantage of it, join, have the success that they want, and watching them grow and just feel proud about the life they're designing for themselves. So that's what I'm jazzed about. When I come to work, when I wake up in the morning, when I go to bed, it's just an exciting time to be part of this great Shaklee company.
Well, thank you. Roger, thank you so much for your leadership, your vision, your commitment. I mean, you made a serious commitment. You and your family being based out of New York and then relocated and became Shaklee. You didn't just buy Shaklee and become an owner that shows up 9 to 5 at the office on a regular basis. You made a family commitment moving across the country, and your family's integrated and involved in the company, and you spend a lot of time balancing your time with your family as well as traveling to support this dream and this vision and this future that we have to offer to so many. And I appreciate that selfless sacrifice that you make, and I am sure that Dr. Shaklee is so pleased in where this company is headed, and wonderful to partner with you. So thank you for your time on the call today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you for doing this. It's so great to share these messages with other people, and to all our Shaklee family members, thank you for what you do every day to help people live a healthier and better life. It's important work, and we're so grateful for that. So have a great Shaklee day. And thanks again, Laura.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, and to everyone listening, thank you for joining us. Please like and review this podcast so that we are easy to find for everyone. Please feel free to share it with your friends. Post it on social media. Help us get the word out about these great recordings that we're providing. And as I close, in the words of Dr. Shaklee, our founder, what you think you look, what you think you do, and what you think you are. Have a great Shaklee day.
The average annual income in 2017 for the business leader ranks was Director, $10,658, Senior Director, $14,407, Coordinator, $22,217, Senior Coordinator, $33,716, Executive Coordinator, $48,888, Senior Executive Coordinator, $63,999, Key Coordinator, $96,411, Senior Key Coordinator, $121,455, Master Coordinator, $207,773, Senior Master Coordinator, $264,275, Presidential Master Coordinator, $579,520. Average annual income for each rank is calculated monthly based on information reported on Form 1099 Miscellaneous for all U.S. business leaders who achieved the rank that month. Some of these monthly averages is the figure reported. Results will vary with effort. Shaklee Corporation does not guarantee that any particular income level will be achieved.